Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y analysis video. Today's video is going to be all about one of the new fossil Pokemon known as Aurorus. So let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Aurorus is a Rock-Ice type Pokemon introduced in Generation 6, and the first Pokemon to possess this unique typing. As for its abilities though, the first one that it gets is known as Refrigerate, which is a really awesome ability exclusive to the Aurorus line, which makes it so that whenever you use a normal type attack with this ability, it is actually turned into an ice type attack, and the power of that move is boosted by an extra 1.3 in combination with the stab. So it just makes normal type moves extremely powerful on Aurorus and allows it to use some pretty interesting moves very effectively that you would not normally expect this Pokemon to really be able to use when you take a look at it, specifically Nature Power, which in Generation 6 in a Wi-Fi battle turns into Tri-Attack, a normal type move that will be boosted by Refrigerate and also be Stab, bringing it up from its 80 base power to base 104, which is just really good as a special attacking move. Plus, for example, it has a really cool secondary effect which can either freeze, paralyze, or burn your opponent. So that's one of the main ways you'll probably be using Refrigerate with Aurorus. But as far as its second ability is concerned, it is known as Snow Warning, which is the ability that is pretty much known for being on Abomasnow, which summons Hail for 5 turns. Now this is currently an unreleased ability for Aurorus, though we do know it gets it through finding an Aurorus in the Battle Mason with the Snow Warning ability. However, there will be a couple of sets that are supposed to make use of this ability, but can also make use of the Refrigerate ability as well, and I made sure to make note of where that is the case, just to let you know for the sets that I'm going to be showing you in just a second. But as far as the stats are concerned for Aurorus, it has some pretty great defenses with base 123 HP, 72 defense, and 92 special defense, meaning that Aurorus could actually be a pretty bulky Pokemon, especially from the special side with that 92 special defense, and also just having a really high HP stat allows it to tank hits very well, even on offensive sets, which is really cool. But as far as the offenses are concerned, it has base 77 physical attack, which is alright. It's not its higher attacking set, as it does have a base 99 special attack, so more often than not, you're most likely going to be using special attacking moves on Aurorus. However, it does have a very good move pool from both the physical and special sides, which is something that's really cool about this Pokemon. And then lastly, its speed is only base 58, meaning that Aurorus is quite slow, but it does have access to Rock Polish to double its speed if you're ever to run that on an offensive set, so that is a potential way to remedy the speed problem a little bit. So for the first set that I have for you in this video, we're going to start by giving Aurorus a Calm Nature to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, and then for the ability we can go with either of them. However, this set originally was intended to be used with the Snow Warning ability, as this set can be used very effectively to summon Hail for a Hail-based team. But as far as the EVs are concerned, we're going to put 232 into its HP to give it a nice HP number, 252 into its special defense to max it out with a Calm Nature, and then 24 EVs into its speed to give it enough speed to outspeed Pokemon of base 60 speed that it falls just short of outspeeding. And for the item, we're going to be going with Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as far as the moves are concerned, the first one we're going to be going with on this set is either going to be Thunder Wave or Toxic as a way to potentially status our opponents. Obviously Thunder Wave paralyzing them and also making them slower than Aurorus, which is always good, or Toxic to potentially wear down the opponent slowly. But for your main Ice-type move on this set, we're either going to be going with Blizzard or Frost Breath with the Snow Warning ability, or if you decide to use the Refrigerate ability, you would obviously be going with Nature Power, as that will be your strongest Ice move. Now Blizzard, obviously, with the Snow Warning up, will be your go-to attack, as it will have its massive power along with the fact that it cannot miss under Hail, which is really great. But Frost Breath also receiving a nice buff this generation, making it a little bit more powerful, will actually be really great for maybe possibly breaking through any specially defensive boosting a Pokemon on your opponent's team, because it always crits, so it'll always go through the special defense, which is something to kind of make note of as well. But obviously Nature Power could also be there with the Refrigerator ability for the potential chance to status your opponents, and also just be a strong Ice-type move anyways. But then we're going to be running either Thunderbolt or Discharge as an Electric-type coverage move to use in combination with your Ice-type to give you that famous Bolt Beam combo that people always talk about, which is pretty much unresisted by the majority of Pokemon in the game. If you're wondering why I'm not running Freeze Dry here, it's because overall the coverage is better with Aurorus running a stronger Ice-type move and an Electric-type move, as opposed to the fact that even though Freeze Dry does hit Water-type super effectively, it's nice to also have an Electric-type move just in general for type coverage purposes. Also, having the 30% chance to paralyze with Discharge could also come in handy a lot. Obviously, if you do run Discharge, though, I would recommend you run Toxic in the first move slot. But for the last slot, you can either go with Roar or Dragon Tail for phasing, whichever one you feel like would be best to suit this Aurorus. Protect to potentially stall for some toxic damage if you would like to use Toxic and use this as kind of a toxic stalling set. Or even Mirror Coat, which is a really great move to use to tank a special hit and then hit the opponent incredibly hard back, because it will double the damage that you took with your, or took by the attack your opponent hit you with. And because you have such a massive HP stat, Mirror Coat will be hitting for quite a bit of damage if you do get the chance to use it. So overall, this is just a generic defensive set to run with Aurorus that has a lot of really cool possibilities, especially with statusing opponents and also potentially phasing or mirror coating attacks back at them. Up next, I have a dual screening set for you to run with Aurorus. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a bold nature to increase its physical defense and lower its physical attack. And for the ability, we're going to be going with Refrigerate. As for the EVs, we're going to max our physical defense with 252 EVs into that, and also almost max our special defense with 232 EVs into that, and put the remainder 24 EVs into its speed to make you just a bit faster. Now this is one of those sets that changes a little bit at level 50, because you do have an even HP number with no HP investment at level 50, whereas at level 100 you have an odd HP number. So you're going to take 4 of those speed EVs, so you'll have 20 speed EVs at level 50, and put 4 of them into your HP to give you an odd HP number so that you can switch in on Stealth Rocks more times than normal, because that's just how the game rounds numbers and stuff like that. So that's something important to do. Don't forget it if you are using this at level 50. But as far as the item is concerned, we're obviously going to be potentially running Light Clay to allow us to extend the turns of our screens from 5 turns to 8, or Leftovers to allow us to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as far as those moves are concerned, we're going to be using Reflect and Light Screen again to set up both the screens to allow us to take physical and special hits better, and also provide really good defensive support to our teammates. And for our main attacking move on the set, since we're only going to be running one, we're going to be either going with Nature Power or Freeze Dry. Nature Power obviously being the stronger option because of the Refrigerate boost, as well as having multiple potential chances to status our opponents with either a freeze, burn, or paralysis status, but Freeze Dry could be extremely good on this set, as it will give you better type coverage overall, as you will also be able to hit water types for super effective damage with this move. And then for the last attack or move on this set, we're going to either go with Roar again for phasing purposes, or Thunder Wave or Toxic to allow us to have a reliable way to status our opponents. Now keep in mind that because this set does not necessarily have to rely on Leftovers, because we obviously want to extend the turns of our screen occasionally with Light Clay, it would be a good idea to use this set with a Wish supporter as another defensive Pokemon on your team. So that is something to keep in mind when using this particular Aurorus. And up next, I have yet another defensive way to run Aurorus, because there's quite a few ways to do this. So we're going to start this one off by giving Aurorus a Calm Nature to increase its special defense and lower its physical attack. And then we're going to be going with the Refrigerate ability yet again. And we're going to be using the same EV spread as the first set, with 232 HP EVs, 252 special defense EVs, and 24 speed EVs, and then going with Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. This set, however, unlike the first one, is meant to be a self-sustaining defensive wall that is capable of statusing and also potentially phasing if you so choose to use that move on this set. So again, we're going to be going with Nature Power, aka Tri-Attack, because it will have that chance to paralyze, burn, or freeze opponents, which is always really nice, and also be your most powerful Ice-type move to go for. But then we could also potentially run Discharge with the set to have a more reliable way to paralyze things, as it has a 30% chance to do that, and give you some good type coverage overall. But if you would like a way to roar out opponents or phase them out, Roar could be really useful on this set, especially because we are running Rest and Sleep Talk. And for those of you that don't know, when you Sleep Talk the move Roar, it no longer has negative priority. Now granted, Aurorus is pretty slow to begin with, but we are putting a little bit of EVs into its speed, and you could potentially paralyze things with Nature Power, so you can potentially roar things out before they're able to attack. But because we're running Rest and Sleep Talk, this Aurorus is definitely something that will be lasting a very long time in battle and just be a effective special defensive wall that will be able to take hits and sustain itself for a very long time. And now moving on to the more offensive portion of the video, I have the first of 2 Rock Polish based sets for Aurorus. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Timid Nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, and then for this set we can either go with the Snow Warning or the Refrigerate ability, and I'll get more into that in just a second. As for the EVs though, we're going to put 4 into defense, 252 into special attack to max that out, and then 252 EVs into speed to max that out as well. And this is another one of those sets where at level 50 you want to take out 4 of those defense EVs so you'll have no EVs in defense and put them into HP to give you an odd HP number to give you more Stealth Rock switch-ins. But as for the item, we could either go with a Life Orb to increase the power of all of our attacks, but having a 10% recoil, which could actually not be so great on this set due to your Stealth Rock weakness and weakness to priority moves. So you could also potentially run an Expert Belt to allow you to get some more damage on attacks that you hit your opponent with for super effective damage. But for those moves, the first one we're going to be going with on this set is going to be Rock Polish as a way to boost our speed by 2 stages and turn Aurorus into a very speedy attacker. And with that, we're going to be making use of our main Ice-type stab attack on the set, which will come either in the form of Blizzard or Nature Power. Now, Blizzard obviously is meant to be used in combination with the Snow Warning ability, as Blizzard will have 100% accuracy, whereas Nature Power is meant to be used with the Refrigerate ability, and also has a chance to do all those other status things because of it being Tri-Attack. Now, keep in mind, the difference in base power between these 2 moves is actually 6. Blizzard is 6 base power more stronger than Nature Power with the Refrigerate and Stab taken into account. So that is something just to keep in mind. But because of Snow Warning having the hail coming down on your opponents, Blizzard effectively allows you to hit things harder because they take extra damage at the end of the turn. So that is one of the reasons why I think running Blizzard would be a really good idea on this set, even though Nature Power is only slightly less powerful, but because of the hail, that's actually adding on more damage overall. But then we're either going to go with Thunderbolt or Freeze Dry, depending on the type coverage you think you need. Freeze Dry obviously is stronger to use against water types than Thunderbolt is because of the fact that it will have Stab on it, boosting its power to be slightly stronger. Also allows you to hit the water ground types, the numerous number of those for actually 4 times super effective damage, whereas Thunderbolt can't hit them at all. So that's something to just keep in mind when using this. And then for the last move slot, we're going to either go with Ancient Power or Hidden Power Ground for some more type coverage, allowing you to hit more things, as this set with Freeze Dry doesn't really have a way to reliably hit fire types, because Ancient Power obviously will be hitting those super effectively, so that's just something to keep in mind. Or Thunderbolt, I guess, gives you an easier way to hit them, but it's not super effective, so Ancient Power could still be the better option. But either way, this gives you some really fantastic special type coverage overall, and will definitely allow Aurorus to potentially sweep if it gets the chance to set up a Rock Polish and able to take down many of your opponents. On the other hand, though, I have what a physical version of this set might look like, and this was actually mentioned and suggested to me by one of my subscribers on the database that I posted, and they were like, hey, you know, this could probably work, and I was like, you know what, let's just put it up here, because why not? So we're going to start off by giving this set a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, and for the ability, we're going to be going with Refrigerate. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into physical attack, 4 into defense, and then 252 EVs into speed to give you your max attack and speed possible with the Jolly Nature. And then also, at level 50, please swap out those 4 defense EVs for 4 HP EVs so that you are able to not die as easily from Stealth Rock damage, so you have an odd HP number. But for the item, again, we're going to be going with a Life Orb possibly to allow us to increase the damage of all of our attacks, but taking a 10% recoil every time you do attack, or potentially a Toxic Orb on the set to work in combination with one specific move. So we're going to start off again by giving Aurorus a Rock Polish move to allow it to increase its speed by 2 stages and make it incredibly fast. And then, since this is the physical version of this set, we're going to be going with either Return or Facade. Now, Return and Facade are both extremely powerful due to Refrigerate boosting their power and also you getting Stab on them, meaning that they are just going to be even stronger than a normal type Pokemon would be using these moves. However, these are obviously Ice types because of Refrigerate. Now, one thing to point out is that Facade with a status, so through the Toxic Orb, which is why we have that on this set, will actually be boosted with Stab taken into account as well as Refrigerate taken into account to 273 base power, which is just ridiculous to think about that, because that is effectively the strongest attack in the game. with stab obviously taking into account. Obviously, you know, like stab, explosion is stronger or whatever, but this can hit super effectively, whereas explosion can't, and I guess reversal could be stronger too. But it's just really cool to see this happen because you can't do this any other way except on Aurorus. So with Facade being extremely powerful, we actually get really good type coverage as well in the form of Stone Edge and Earthquake to give us a way to hit a variety of different types for super effective damage. Now, more often than not, Facade will be your go-to move if you choose to use that because of just how ridiculously powerful it is. Obviously, it's going to hit harder than a super effective Earthquake if Facade is also neutral, if it takes neutral from Ice Stab, just because of the crazy boosted power it gets. But it gives you some really good type coverage overall, arguably better than the previous set, if you want to think of it about that, or at least different type coverage, more or to say. But overall, this set is just a really cool way to run a physical Aurorus, and just seeing the crazy damage that Facade can put out is just really funny and really cool, and I really like this idea, just because it's really unique to this Pokemon. And lastly, I have a more defensively based boosting set for Aurorus to run. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a bold nature to increase its physical defense and lower its physical attack. And for the ability, we're going to be going with Refrigerate. As for the EVs, we're going to put 232 into your HP, 252 into your physical defense to max that out, and then the remainder 24 EVs into your speed to make you just a bit faster. And for the item, we're going to be going with Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as far as those moves are concerned, we're going to be starting off with the famous Substitute Calm Mind combination to allow Aurorus to get behind a sub to shield it from attacks, and then boost to increase its special attack and special defense by 1 stage each time you go for a Calm Mind. And because we're running quite a bit of defense EVs, as well as quite a bit of HP EVs, Aurorus will have, or your opponents will have a different time taking out Aurorus' subs after a few Calm Minds. It is also important to note that because of its massive HP stat, it makes subs bigger than 100 HP, meaning that a Pokemon, say for example using Seismic Toss or Nightshade, will be unable to break your substitutes, which is something that's always really cool. But along with our boosting move and a substitute to allow us to take attacks a lot easier, also shield us from statuses, we're going to be going with Nature Power as our main Ice-type move on this set, and use that in combination with Discharge to give us the famous Volt Beam quote-unquote combo of Ice and Electric-type moves that is pretty much unresisted by the majority of types that you will run into. And overall, this set is just a really fantastic way to run a boosting Aurorus, as the type combination you get through Nature Power and Discharge, along with the fact that both of these have a chance to result in a secondary effect of either paralysis, and then in the case of Nature Power, also potentially burning and freezing, is really good and potentially could allow you to get another turn to Calm Mind, or freeze an opponent to boost even further, or burn them so you take physical attacks even easier, or paralyze them so they potentially get paralyzed, giving you another chance to set up. So overall, just the secondary effectiveness of this set is just a really cool way to make use of a boosting Aurorus, and I really like this set as it is a really cool way to run a defensive but also potential really offensive Aurorus after you get a few Calm Mind boosts. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so I want to thank you all for watching, and feel free to follow me on Twitter and Twitch, and bookmark the database in the description that will have these sets as well as every other set in the analysis series, and also feel free to join the chat at zat.com/pokegrounds, which will have which will give you the chance to talk about Pokemon with other people, as well as trade and battle and all sorts of cool stuff like that. But that is it, everybody, so as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.